Going on, guys? Going on, 27 squad. Welcome into another video. We've got our first New York Giants 7-round mock draft. So without further ado, let's get it started. Before we start, guys, as always, if you guys enjoy the content, make sure you guys hit that like button and subscribe if you guys are new to the channel. It helps out the algorithm more than you guys know. If you guys like, comment, subscribe, helps bring out these videos for more Giants fans just like you guys. Alright, so we're going to go in the first round right off the bat. 25th overall, I have the Giants selecting Deonte Banks, the cornerback out of Maryland. Now, with the wide receivers kind of picking up steam more towards the end of the draft season, as we're going to start to see the draft stock and where these guys are going to be ranked, more and more as the season goes on before draft day. You're starting to see these receivers like Jordan Addison, Zay Flowers kind of be projected a little bit more. JSN kind of be projected a little bit more. And guys like Quentin Johnston kind of taking a little bit of a fall. And in my honest opinion, even if Johnston is there, I'm not one to say to go after Johnston. I'm actually not a fan of Johnston at all. Even if he's there, I don't want the Giants to go there. I think the Giants really have a bigger need at cornerback. And the only way I'm going wide receiver is if Addison or Zay Flowers is there, or JSN, but he's not going to be there. But I got Deonte Banks out of Maryland. I love this guy. He's a quick, twitchy reaction type corner, man corner as well. Usually these Maryland defensive backs come out into the NFL and they do pretty well. You look at Darnell Savage, just to name one guy off the top of my head a couple years ago. They do pretty well as far as defenders go in the back end. So Deonte Banks would be a great fit here. We need help at the number 2 corner spot. And, as the league is, as wide receivers are just getting more talented, let's be real, you need cornerbacks. You can't get away with just one-star cornerback. I know we have Adoree Jackson, but we need help on that second corner spot. As much as we do love Cordell Flott and love his development, we just can't miss out if Deonte Banks is there. Next, in the second round, 57th overall, I have the New York Giants selecting Luke Whippler, the center out of Ohio State. Listen, I'm going to have, spoiler alert, there's going to be quite a bit of Ohio State guys. It's just what they piqued my interest the most. I don't know. There's a lot of Ohio State guys in this draft that I like, and Luke Whippler is the first to come off the board at center. Listen, to me, he's probably one of the best interior offensive linemen in the draft. I know a lot of people rave about Osiris Torrance or a couple of other guys out there, like some John Schmitz guy that I haven't looked up yet, but a lot of people keep telling me about him. Whippler to me is probably the best interior offensive lineman in this draft. I know there isn't any interior offensive lineman really projected to go in the first round besides Torrance, but Whippler is right next to him. I think he's great. I think he's great in the passing game, the running game. I think he's great in inside zone. The Giants run inside zone. That is their main running play. They run a lot of inside zone from many different formations. He's great at flowing in inside zone, keeps a wide base, good footwork, quick feet. I like him side-to-side quickness when helping out the guards. I love Whippler. He's a great prospect and fills a huge hole. He's a plug-and-play center in my opinion. I think he can start day one, and I don't think we have to worry about bringing back John Feliciano. Or if we bring back John Feliciano, it'll probably be for a backup role because I like Luke Whippler a lot more. All right, let's go in the third round, 89th overall. The first third-round pick that we had before we traded for Darren Waller. 89th overall, A.T. Perry, wide receiver out of Wake Forest. Man, this guy's a great prospect, standing at 6'3.5", 198 pounds, redshirt senior. I love this guy. I know he has a lot of drops, and I know you guys know me that I knock on a lot of these Giants guys because they drop the ball, but man, A.T. Perry just looks special. I know we have a lot of slot guys. With the Giants missing out on Zay Flowers and Jordan Addison in this scenario, they might as well go in later rounds and not look for another slot guy like Tank Dell or any of these other guys that will fit the role that other wide receivers have on this roster, but go more of a outside deep threat, something that we don't have with height, because Darius Slayton is good and all, but he's smaller. He is 6'1", he's skinnier build. A.T. Perry is just a monster of a human being. He has a great release, something that listen, I don't want to keep comparing. I don't want to keep like ragging on Darius Slayton, but Darius Slayton doesn't have the best releases, not the best route runner. A.T. Perry is great in short yardage route running. He's great with his releases, great footwork, great change of direction in short yardage, which is not common for a guy that's standing at 6'3" and projected to be an outside receiver, but he possesses that. And on top of that, going deep, he has that long stride speed that not a lot of the defensive backs can keep up with. Great strong hands and can track the ball pretty well. I like him as a prospect. Like I said, I think what really brings him down as a prospect is his drop rate. I think he had like 17 drops in the past 2 years, which is not great. I could be wrong, completely wrong about that, and looking at another stat from somebody else, but I think that's what goes in my head. But man, he would be a great fit to this offense. I know a lot of people rave about Isaiah Hodgins, but if I see a guy like A.T. Perry sitting at the third, just waiting there, and when I haven't drafted a wide receiver yet, I'm definitely picking him up. There's nothing stopping me. There's no wide receiver on this roster keeping me from drafting Perry. All right, so now we're going to go into the 4th round, 128th overall. I have the Giants selecting Ronnie Hickman, the safety out of Ohio State. I like Hickman. Is he going to be an off-the-bat starter? No, but I just think that since we lost Julian Love, that is a big hit. If as much as we want to talk about Julian Love and him not being worth the money, I get it. That's fine. We don't have to pay Julian Love. I can live with that. But he did fill in a big role for this team. He was a guy that you put everywhere on this defense, along with Xavier McKinney. But he's a guy that the Giants will probably give some money to. But Julian Love, obviously not. You got to go out and get another safety. It's not the biggest of priorities to me because there are other positions earlier in rounds that I want to attack, like wide receiver, like interior offensive lineman. And then obviously we had A.T. Perry come off the board, someone I didn't want to miss out on. But safety is just a next priority for me. Ronnie Hickman is a guy that may fall in this area in the 4th round, and he's a guy that is probably a better box defender, takes good angles, has a great back pedal when playing as a deep safety, and a great break on the ball. You know, obviously there are no like true deep safeties in this draft like to find. I just don't see one. So, you know, you could look at a JL Skinner possibly, who is not much of a tackler, not much of a box guy, but just not, to me, just not a good candidate. And I'm a Boise State guy, just not a good candidate for this team. I like Ronnie Hickman. If you ask me what Ronnie Hickman is, probably a much better version of Dane Belton. I think he's an upgrade over Dane Belton. I think he's better than Dane Belton, and I think he'll take his job, even though they were drafted right around the same point, both in the 4th round. I think he's better than Dane Belton. I think Dane Belton was a little too stiff, not very good in reading routes, not very good at jumping routes, but he is a good tackler. Dane Belton was a good tackler. Ronnie Hickman just seems to be the opposite of that. He's not the best tackler, not as strong, but he takes good angles, has a good break on the ball, and can read routes better in the box. So I like Ronnie Hickman. We still have to find that true deep safety. It's probably going to be Jason Pinnock, or Pinnock, however you say it. I don't see like a true deep safety in this draft that worth drafting. So that's the best I can do right now in round 4. But I think he's better than Dane Belton. All right, let's go into the 5th round, 161st overall. I have the Giants getting some depth at the defensive end position, or edge rusher position, and that's Habakkuk Baldonado. I hope I said that right. Habakkuk. I know it's a biblical name, but I just never got around to saying it when I'm reading my Bible. So I'm sorry, Habakkuk. I'm just say I don't even. What's the nickname for Habakkuk? Cook. I'm going to just say Cook Baldonado. But listen, I like this guy. He has great bend for his size. I believe he's standing at 6'4", 251. Good bend, a little bit stiff on the hips, but good bend at the legs to get to pass rush. He's more of a speed to power type guy. He doesn't really have power once his momentum is gone. Posted up a decent 40 time of 4.78. Not bad. Has a sneaky athletic sort of build to him. He doesn't look athletic, but he tested well at the combine. That's why I really kind of paid attention to him, and he looks sneaky athletic on film. At first glance, you're probably looking at this guy, him being his momentum being stopped, not having great power, and just be like, it just didn't seem like the best athletic guy. He has trouble getting off a block sometimes, but he always finds a way to slip off a block, in my opinion. He like has this like weird spin move. He messes with his hands a lot. It just seems a little bit raw to me, but if he can clean it up, I mean, he'll be better than Ellerson Smith, I'll tell you that much. All right, so using one of our 6th round picks, I have the Giants going out and getting another Ohio State guy, Cameron Brown, the cornerback out of Ohio State, 6 foot, 199 pounds, senior. And I like him. I think he's a sleeper in this draft. And I know we already drafted a corner in the 1st round, but I mean, you can never have enough corners. Let's be real. Especially with this team, everybody should know you can never have enough corners. I'm not really familiar with what every defense runs, like what scheme they run in college football. I just don't pay attention enough to it during the season, but it seems like they run a good mix of man and zone, and Cameron Brown honestly doesn't skip a beat when alternating between man and zone. I like the way he flows in zone when he's dropping back into cover 3, and I like the way he follows his receivers in man coverage. Now, he doesn't have any deep speed ability, in my opinion. He's going to get lost on deeper routes, but man, he has a good break on the ball on intermediate routes, stop routes, slant routes, posts. He has a good feel of both man and zone defense, and that's something that has to be valued when going into the later rounds. You want a guy that can be as versatile as you can, not only just playing special teams, but if you were to put him in a real game scenario on defense, you want to make sure they're as versatile as they can so they can fit anything that they're asked to do. Now, he had limited playing time last year in 2022 because of injury. That's why he didn't play as much. He's not a ball hawk by any means, but man, he's just a good balanced corner, and that's something that you want. You find value in the 6th round. All right, the next 6th round pick, 217th overall. I have the Giants drafting running back Mohamed Ibrahim from Minnesota, and man, I love this guy. I know every Giants fan has the Giants drafting him in the 6th round. I see it on every single mock, and I'm like, what is this hype about? What is this hype about this guy that everybody has him being drafted? And man, do I like him. I saw a player comp of Dameon Pierce, and I see it. I can definitely see a little bit of Aaron Jones in him too. Just that inside zone, one cut, one read back that just hits the hole, stays patient. Those inside zone sort of running backs. I love Mohamed Ibrahim. We run a lot, tons of inside zone from the gun. I would love this guy on the roster. Short yardage back. He's a tough runner. Standing at 5'8", but has power in those legs and runs behind his pads, puts his pads down and keeps it pushing. This guy is so hard to bring down. And I mean, the power that he has at his height is almost like Maurice Jones-Drew. I love his film. I love watching him. This guy fights for every yard, has great center of gravity, and that's something that should be cherished in a round like this. Have him compete with Gary Brightwell for that short yardage back spot, and I mean, let the best running back win. All right, we're gonna go with our 7th round picks now. Keep in mind, guys, these guys, we're going 6th round, 7th round. Keep in mind, these guys aren't going to be the best out there, okay? They're going to be borderline guys that may not even make the roster, but I tried my best to pick some guys that may have a chance of making a roster. All right, first up, we have Brenton Strange, tight end out of Penn State, standing at 6'4", 253 pounds, and a redshirt junior. He's a good balanced tight end. I honestly think he's underrated in the passing game. He has really good downfield speed after he catches the ball and he turns upfield. Decent speed, decent route running, probably better than most. Probably quicker than most tight ends you'll find in this draft. His blocking is decent. Not that we really need him to block, because we already have Daniel Bellinger for that. But I just like tight ends, especially in this offense that we're working with, tight ends that can catch the football and move downfield. I want to maintain that downfield threat if Darren Waller were not in the game, God forbid, due to injury. We have Lawrence Cager as well. And Brenton Strange could be like a Daniel Bellinger type guy where he can block and catch the ball at the same time. So he's a guy that could make this roster if we keep 4 tight ends. Next up, we have Taron Vincent, defensive interior out of Ohio State. 6'2", 305 pounds, senior. And listen, there's not too much to like with Taron Vincent, to be honest with you, but listen, I'm looking at this defensive tackle class and I'm not liking it that much. Okay, there's not much value here, so I value other positions a lot more than just settle and try to take the best defensive tackle I can. If I don't, I'm not gonna do that if I don't think they're really worth the pick. So if I'm gonna get some defensive interior depth, listen, we have a meeting with Ashawn Robinson on Monday, so I don't know how that's gonna go. And we already have some depth there with Nacho, with DJ Davidson coming back. We've got some guys there. So I don't really know. I mean, he's coming from Ohio State. The only reason why I picked us to draft him, if I'm going to go in the later rounds and draft a guy who's probably going to be a camp body and just trying to see what sticks on the wall, I'm going to get a guy from a good collegiate program and one that has a pedigree in that position. Ohio State produces defensive linemen every single year. So I'm going to go ahead and draft a guy from Ohio State if I want defensive interior in later rounds, because odds are they probably have had good coaching and it's something that you can develop. All right, in the 7th round, 253rd overall, I have the New York Giants selecting Dorian Thompson-Robinson, DTR. And man, I just love that nickname so much, DTR. Listen, this guy stood out in the combine for me. I've heard about him watching college football here and there. I heard about him and his athletic ability and how he's developing in Chip Kelly's system, and that he's a guy that could be a sleeper in this draft. And hey, I'm looking at him, watching him on film. He's mobile, he's athletic, he gets out of the pocket, creates some plays off script, and he really hung in there in the combine. He was going toe-to-toe with the best quarterbacks in the draft, and obviously he kind of fell off a little bit. He obviously didn't look as good as them, but he was hanging in there with the best of them. To me, he shows potential as a good backup quarterback in the NFL, and so it's your last pick, 253rd overall. Just take a chance. You already signed Daniel Jones to a big contract. There's no chance Dorian's going to be taking his job. I mean, just draft him and see what happens. See if you can turn into a good backup. And that is my 7-round, 10-pick mock draft. Man, the Giants need to stop having so much picks, man. I'm tired of doing these long freaking videos every time. But that is the 7-round mock draft for the New York Giants. Let me know your thoughts in the comment section below. Hopefully, I'll have another one of these out in the coming days or coming weeks as draft season starts to get closer and closer, or the draft day starts to get closer and closer. So, that being said, guys, leave a like if you guys enjoyed. Subscribe if you guys are new. I'll see you guys in the next video.